Welcome back to the Ingredients for Success podcast. I'm Andrew Rice, and today we have Perlina with Viome, a leading precision supplement company. Ali is the Chief Translational Science Officer at Viome. She's a systems biology leader with over 18 years of professional industry experience in drug and target discovery, nutraceutical intervention design, as well as translational and precision medicine. It's a whole lot of stuff. Ali, like I said, having the conversation with her the other day, and then what we're going to get into here in a little bit, all that stuff is going to shine really well as she begins talking. I love her passion and just the genuine joy that I can tell she gets from a good challenge. And we all know that is a very rare quality these days. So we had good conversation the other day around that topic, I feel like, Ali.
Yes, and thank you for this introduction. Very nice. Thank you so much.
So we're going to get right into what we call the Fast Five. And I'm just going to ask you this or that, just a couple of 5 questions and kind of like a speed round. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Born ready.
All right, born ready. All right, so translating science or surfing?
Translating surface. Translating science.
There you go. Translating science. I figured that might be it. So here's what, guitar or ukulele?
Oh, I do both, by the way. How did you know? Did you see it behind this separator divider? It's supposed to hide all my stuff.
Yeah, I was going to try to come up with something made up, but I actually just took notes while we were talking the other day because I play the guitar and love music as well. So I took note of that. So anyway, so which one was it? Guitar?
Guitar. I stayed true to my initial calling. I did a classical guitar minor in college, actually.
Work as a creative outlet or karaoke?
Oh, you're making it really difficult for me. Work is a creative outlet, for sure.
I figured so.
Actually, we have a machine at home. Kids love it. We're the champions. That's one of the songs they sing.
Queens, like that. That's a really good go-to on the old karaoke. Something challenging or easy breezy?
Are you kidding? That question is too easy breezy. Of course, something challenging.
Netflix or a good science doc binge?
Can I say both? Sometimes you need a Netflix binge just to snap your mind out of all of the other stuff that's going on. But of course, I'll pick the science binge.
So today, Ali and I will be discussing embracing complexity, precision supplements, and Viome. Before we get into that, Ali and I had a really good conversation the other day, and most of these topics came from that conversation. But what really drew me about her specifically is just kind of her story and her passion, her just real undying passion that you can just tell. She exudes it about what she does. And there were some things, she's got a really good story about how she got started and kind of why she does what she does. So Ali, if you could explain a little bit about that passion and why you do what you do and what drove you, to reimagine and reinvent integrative and holistic supplementation, I think that'd be great for the listeners.
Yeah. So overall, I'm really a huge believer in delivering more of scientifically powered medicine. And in working from academic to pharma to precision medicine settings, I always wish that there would be more integrative options and more preventative options as well. So even before coming into Viome, I always try to reach as much of the expert knowledge and all of the data that's available out there in order to be able to synthesize it and somehow deliver through products, through services to more people than I myself would be able to touch, one-on-one. Because if you just have this sort of an expert mentality. I'm an expert and nothing else can be done with that. Then you can only reach so many people. So my passion is really to help people impact their health, but at a larger scale. That's any one of us individuals, beyond ourselves. So especially when I look at, my aging parents, and I want to make sure that my family is healthy. When I was growing up, I had my own issues with asthma and things like that. And it was one of those factors that actually, even back in high school, made me switch from loving math and always being like thinking I'm going to be a math major into biology, because I wanted to understand and do something about every single part of the biological function, which now we call it systems biology. And I'm a systems biologist with that idea in mind, that, you just really want to understand what is happening in a human body, and what is the normal way or the healthy way, and how does it all go wrong where you have dysfunction and you get disease, and what are the biological processes down to the nitty-gritty molecules that are responsible for that. And so with every step of the way, anything I've done, I wanted to see how can we take these factoids and this piece of knowledge and that part of that domain and this part of the biology domain, and connect it to health more directly, because it takes just way too many years sometimes to carry out all of the individual drug trials. And we all know that there's certain side effects to different pharmaceutical agents. And I've worked in drug discovery before, but at the same time, you just want to be able to do something that is as natural as possible, but it has to be personalized so that for you, it can reverse or prevent chronic disease. So that's just a huge passion of mine, to be able to do something that's beyond myself, to impact, human health and lifespan for the greater good.
Yes, I love that, Ali. Love your story. And I also, in part of our conversation the other day, we discussed, you said it really resonated with me. We talked about, I have the why not tag on my LinkedIn page, and you said embracing the complexity, and you kind of talked through some of the, I wouldn't say struggles, but some of the hurdles you had to kind of, you went through in the very beginning as you went through ideation and trying to figure out, how are we going to make this thing with Viome work? But we shared some very common positions on things, and we talked through kind of like the proverbial, like, well, it's always been done this way, or, that's going to take too much time, or, it's going to take too many man hours or too much money or whatever, before anybody's even really figured out whether or not that was the case, right? And so, like, just putting your best foot forward, digging in, doing some research and figuring out, okay, is this doable? I keep hearing this is not how we've always done things, and this is going to be so expensive. But you know what? I'm the same way, and I just kind of la. So I love that. We talked about that. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, why not? So, like you say, you have to ask why, and you have to ask why not, and that's just part of the whole, critical thinking that, I very much embrace and believe. And you have to be able to critically assess the situation and to dare to actually get into all of the whys, which means that you shouldn't be afraid to get the answer that you're seeking, which means a lot of detail. So when you get the detail and you grasp it and you understand it, then why not dare to dream of doing something that's bigger and the next level of sophistication and complexity, and basically embracing it, because there's always going to be a lot of people, a lot of maybe great, brilliant experts who will caution you and say what the caveats are and what the fears may be, what the risks may be. But again, back to my motivation, it's like, well, do you think that your body has all the systems and organs functioning completely in isolation? If you look at yourself, the answer is no. It's all connected, right? I hope it still is, yeah. So when it's all connected and you want to address something like human health, it just makes sense that you're not going to just go and specialize in just this one area under the lamppost or this one section in an isolated way. And hence, there's a lot of integrative medicine initiatives, functional medicine. But to do that right, you have to be able to understand the root causes that are down to a molecular level. And so for my particular journey, this is what it boiled down to basically anywhere I've gone. And here at Viome, it's the basis, the core of what informs personalization is understanding the complexity with molecular level precision, and to be able to then automate and scale that so that many individuals can benefit from it. If I heard, all of the people who would say, well, you can't focus on that because that's going to be like 10 years, or you cannot integrate all the knowledge of biochemistry and nutrition and manufacturing and sourcing details of the nutrients to bring it all together, because that's going to take 3 years here, 5 years there. Nobody has a comprehensive database, and before you build any tools, it's going to be forever. I would not be able to do anything. So I basically had to say, why not? Why not embrace the complexity? And if you have enough knowledge and you have enough of the drive towards innovation, why not dare to actually imagine this completely new age solution where everyone's supplement blend is unique and made to order so that it addresses your biology with molecular level precision.
Right. Yeah. I dare to dream of something bigger. You said that just a minute ago, and so when you started on this journey, as we talked through the embracing the complexity of situations, or what we're facing at work, or challenges that we all have, you specifically about Viome, that's kind of what kind of went into like the beginning of your story at how you were with Viome. And I think you had mentioned that there was this, you were kind of hoping for this like larger shared database of all this knowledge and network of data. And I think, that it seemed like that was one of the bigger challenges early on for you, was just like overcoming, collecting all that data, right?
Right. That's a good point to actually discuss a little bit more, because excuse me, in all of my experience, I was always knowledgeable about supplements. I've been kind of like a supplements junkie or hacker since my teenage years, just because. And you would think, you know enough about supplements because you know about the nutrients, or you know about the biochemical properties or metabolism of specific nutrients and supplements, then you kind of know enough. But then in this new realm at Viome, it was a whole new ballgame where I was actually trying to come up with a way to personalize supplements at scale, as opposed to relying on branded, available off-the-shelf products. We have been recommending within the Viome app these branded off-the-shelf products, and that is part of the personalization logic that I definitely spearheaded. But at some point you're like, okay, we have to do it ourselves, because in the branded supplements, there could be something that is just not available that goes together. So you end up with a lot of different bottles that you would like to recommend to a person, which come with their own, additives and excipients and fillers and things like that. And that's not even the worst of it. It's just that you can see a lot of ingredients that go along for the ride that for a given individual just are not needed and maybe even harmful. And in that sense, it becomes so difficult to really prioritize the most important ones for any given customer. So at Viome, looking at, okay, how can we go per ingredient personalization? We already had all the knowledge of 550 or so ingredients. Now, how do I take that to something that actually personalizes at scale? So I was thinking that, well, the big missing piece is kind of like this manufacturing knowledge base of the world. And I was so convinced that if you talk to manufacturers who have a lot of clients, who get a lot of different supplies in, have a whole inventory, they must have a really sophisticated knowledge base that just tells them, this is how many ingredients you have, this is how often they go together, this is how often they're in let's say a stick pack or a tablet or a capsule, this is how often they're, let's say requested or supported by clinical evidence for immune health versus, GI, gastrointestinal health and things like that. And turns out there was nothing like that. So the next big sort of exponential milestone that ended up presenting as a challenge or an opportunity is to jump over that barrier and create something that connects all of our knowledge within Viome with this, the final piece, the manufacturing and sourcing input and constraints. And so that took another 1.5 years or so before we actually launched the supplements. But yeah, maybe naive thinking was that, well, if you have all that information, why wouldn't you have some queryable database? And then it kind of dawned on me, well, why would somebody have a queryable database? That is not something that is in line with the objectives of any, manufacturer's company. They're not ones trying to necessarily themselves solve human health and disease puzzles proactively themselves. They're helping other companies who are on their journey to do that. And then there's, suppliers who will, deliver and supply the ingredients that are needed, but it's not like they're tasked or would be incentivized to have such a knowledge base. So knowledge base are for people who want to, productize and deliver knowledge in an actionable way. So I realized that actually it doesn't exist. At first, I thought it was basically because of proprietary reasons, and maybe there's a little bit of that. But soon enough, we realized that actually there is no one comprehensive consensus knowledge base on all of the ingredient, clinical, biochemical, microbiology, food science, nutrition science, and of course the manufacturing side of things, factoids. We just don't have any one thing like that, so we had to build it ourselves.
Yeah, and you were, as we discussed before, going through that process, and you had an engineer, I can't remember his title, but the engineer that helped with kind of create your all's artificial intelligence of it was just so interesting to me kind of how far you guys took this, and you being so pivotal in this is just it's just mind-blowing to see all of the things that went, or hear all of the things that went into this. So it's really, really, really cool. So one of the things that I think we just get into now is just, one of the things that you say at Viome, I think it might even be on the box somewhere, but it's just, you mentioned giving them everything they need and nothing that they don't. And I think it is just this really clear, concise message of what it is that you provide your customers. So that's kind of what you all are doing. With Viome specifically, could you just kind of speak to where you're at with Viome, how things are going, and maybe kind of where you guys are headed?
Absolutely. So just for a little bit more context, in order to figure out what you need, we give you just what you need and nothing that you don't. We look at these molecular pathways. And so at Viome, some of the services that we already offer are the gut intelligence test, which tests your microbiome from a stool sample. And then there's the health intelligence service, which includes the gut intelligence, but also gives you the host, the human side, from a blood test. And we also have other tests that are in more of the research and development and soon will be coming out, like the saliva test. And we're looking at vaginal health and other sort of aspects to the whole systems biology puzzle of a human body and human health. So the way that I've approached this from the get-go when I came to Viome, just having learned some lessons that, when you have too much of the manual expert analysis, you just can't scale really quickly. When I came in, I developed this methodology for analyzing biological pathways at scale so that you can, in automated way, do what an expert does when they look at, let's say, glycolysis is something you may know, but we look at different microbial and human pathways. So from the very beginning, we kept learning insights and then delivering new pathway scores, which then in our app actually get folded into these functional and then health level scores, that there's kind of like a hierarchy, because there are different molecular mechanisms that are responsible for, let's say, your inflammation or your aging, your cellular aging and senescence, or your oxidative or not oxidative, but the different types of stress or stress response. And it could come from the microbiome. It could come from, too many toxins that are crossing your gut lining barrier. It can come from something that you're exposed to. Maybe you're fighting some virus, or there's some histamine reaction. So we pick up all of these different pathways, molecular pathways that tell us that. And then having that methodology, that's been with us, we basically, I think the first time I started working on it was immediately when I came to Viome in 2017. And we implemented it into our products and just enhanced that. So that is the basis, the molecular basis that I was talking about for making supplements address just what you need and nothing that you don't. Because the idea is that if you don't take action with molecular level precision, then how do you know it's truly personalized? How do you know that it's precise to your biology? So the word personalized almost got kind of worn out at this point because, or used up, I would say, because it's more of a categorization in the market than personalization. Like you see supplements for cognitive health or weight loss or immune support, and people just buy those different pre-existing formulas, or there's like a red pill for this and a green pill for that and a brown pill for this. Whereas what we've done here is completely reimagine all of this, and ultimately to find a way to get every single ingredient to be considered separately and then considered together as your personal blend. So let's say the Andrew blend, and that would be the type of blend that would address your biological pathways, for which we already have the platform and the framework, and for which you have the scores, so you could see if you're a little bit off on the inflammation, or if you're a little bit off on mitochondrial health and other types of functional patterns that emerge.
Do you have anything that you feel you want to talk about Viome? I know we've got to wrap it up pretty quickly, but is there anything that you feel like maybe you want to talk very, 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 briefly about with Viome, or about Viome, or anything else?
So we always do a lot of research. Everything we do is evidence-based. We have different ways of curating and annotating and organizing the evidence. So that means that we always look for new ingredients, new studies, new information, and then we juxtapose it on our data sets to see that, okay, well, knowing that this is what's important for, let's say, some of the pathways for cell renewal and regeneration, something like cartilage formation and biogenesis and those types of things. How can we look at some of the signatures or culprits, or just pathways and functional patterns that can speak to that? And then how can we then use something that, comes from, let's say, some of the ingredients you guys are working on that can maybe be the next sort of enhanced version of our supplements, 2.0 or 3.0. I don't know if you want to talk about the example that you brought up, and I thought it was really interesting. You shared some research with me, so that could be one of the examples as that speaks to our ongoing research efforts and inclusion of very important types of ingredients that have unique properties.
So yeah, as we were talking the other day, we did talk about NEM, our joint health ingredient, our eggshell membrane that we have. And I don't know much about the study itself, although just kind of the preface and just the what came out of the study and some of the claims that we can get or whatnot. Kevin Ruff, with a scientist, I think he's the chief scientist, director of science and everything science and regulatory. Very, very smart guy. He designed and led that study. And the study was the latest one was on the CTX2 biomarker. So yeah, we could discuss that for a second if you wanted to.
Yeah, so I looked at it and it's really interesting, and I just shared it with my team as well. So one of the things that just intuitively kind of makes sense is that if it's part of the um, forming or supporting system for an embryo, like a chicken embryo, then it may have some of these growth factors and things that promote different cellular or organ biogenesis. So on a pathway or molecular level, it makes sense how CTX2 plays into different collagenous formations. And we know that that's important for cartilage and joint health, but specifically while that's very very intuitively meaningful, I think that there could be even more things that we may learn if we look at the effects of these types of pathways across throughout the human body. I don't know yet, but it could be that eventually it will prove to help, let's say, anti-aging, and how collagen is important for healthy skin and for different supporting connective tissue functions. But back to cartilage and those types of biological patterns that people need support with, we have various scores that assess from the human perspective and also the microbiome perspective your patterns of immune response and autoimmunity and inflammation. And so I think that they would be very curious to see if there are some effects that when in somebody's personalized blend, let's say we were to include this ingredient in the future, and who knows what we might see. We might see, mitochondrial function being boosted up when, even right now, I don't know if that's even possible, right. But we may see something like that along with inflammation and maybe the predicted age going down. So maybe, who knows, your molecular signature of biological age will make you younger because of, this ingredient, along with others that may be complementary to it going into your personalized precision supplements blend. So that's kind of the thinking that it got me onto considering this ingredient. I think it makes sense, and it's really exciting.
Cool. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're excited about it, and I'm sure you understood the science documentation a lot better than I did. That's for sure. But yeah, and at some point, if you want me to connect you directly with Kevin, I'd be happy to do that.
Absolutely.
We've got to wrap up here. Ali, it was really great talking to you again. We've only had 2 of them, but so far I have loved our chats. I love watching your brain work and hearing what you have to say in science. I think you do such a great job of articulating science in a way that is palatable. So, Ali, all the cool things that you and the rest of your team have accomplished at Viome, I think it's just amazing. Keep challenging the status quo. You keep going, because I can't wait to see what keeps coming out of Viome, and specifically you. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, and great pleasure talking to you both times, and hope we'll have our jam session sometime in the near future. Yeah. So we have to pencil something in, or it never will happen. But yeah, thanks so much for having me, and I'm also looking forward to pushing the boundaries and getting even more precise with molecularly matching you to what's really right for you, for your health.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Ali.
Thank you. Take care.